e re ke le boleleng ke le rakgadi. Banna ba rata ditaba. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. What they do with that information might be different to women. But gossiping. Pagati inside. Monna. Hoo. B. Okay. August 2025. Itlile ka di-fly kick. This week. Lefatshe le bophelo. Ne ntshwere ka di-washing. Okay. It was a washing. I was here with life. Ke buffet. So I continue to maintain as Rakgadi Makoto and Kululego Popeye. Is a Popeye. This man is out just saying these things about me. We can all be mean. Palace's like, yes, everybody else also doesn't know what I have to deal with when I see him naked. When I see him Alilipona in the morning. You don't know. Died. Okay. Whips out in the middle of the dinner table. Well, did you guys know that Nkululeko actually had a sexual relationship with my former best friend 10 years ago? And then Tsepo and Palace were like, oh my God. Rakgadi was like, who cares? 10 years. And then give for my best friend. Who cares a damn? Who? I don't care a damn. 10 years. 4 weeks in, you are still strangers, even if it's a month. Literally strangers. But just because Renalidi ring, Zadi lucky packet, and we are calling each other my husband and my wife, but nary a marriage certificate that is signed by both parties has been produced. But we are ready for procreation, my sister. Awa. Neither does Nelisa, guys. That's why that woman has a key and a bank card. Temba told us he paid lobola. Baby mama for who? Where? Question mark. But an appendage does not give you. A divorce does not give you unconditional and unequivocal respect. Not in my books. And I think when it comes to Tebo, I don't think he's earned the level of respect that he seems to demand. Tebo, they are demolishing you here. Go ladies' night. We are perishing. If you're looking for the cookies, keep on looking, cause they stay in the jar. Everybody, and welcome to Rakgadi's Views with me, Rakgadi Watsona, where I give you my views on reality. Welcome back, guys. So a few things now before we get into Married at First Sight episode 7 review. I had done a video review of the last episode. If you guys would notice, there were pieces missing about Portia, Makoto, and Nelisa and their experiences while they were courtesing. Guys, the device, what are you trying to do? Stuff you. As soon as I had uploaded the one part, which was Tepo and Palisa, I mean, it was a Bible. That review just shut down on me. Eco clinicking, you know, my laptop, Eco Ward 4, I've booked it in, and it's also like brand new, so I don't know what's going on. So what I've been told is that I've lost a lot of that data. So unfortunately, and it was going to be like a short little 10-15 minutes. That is not coming back up as Kisi. I had tried and begged and pleaded with James, who was the techie, who's doing the Lord's work for me, Mole. James, my sister. For some reason, this thing just deleted everything before we could even recover. I could reformat the what. I don't want to hear. My head is going to break. So unfortunately, you guys are not going to get that section. I apologize. Second announcement is that even with this review, I literally have to try and do everything in one sitting, unedited, okay? So that I can upload it, hopefully, with no big boo-boos going on here. With Rakgadi, I have to be... Okay, Tware! and not say too much about some of these people. But because I mean, I do have editing software on my phone. I'm just really not used to using it on such a small screen. And to tell you the truth, I know I don't look my age, but I'm a lot older than I look. Okay, and I don't know. I get time, energy, CBT. I think to just be trying to figure it out on a small screen. So I'm basically gonna try and do this in one go. Okay, so guys, before we start, I have also got another pot of tea to get myself ready. Wherever you are, also guys, it's guys, it's for real. So I got my tea. I put some hibiscus again. I've got some green tea in there. But the important parts, yeah, this cup of tea. It's the adaptogens. Okay, if you guys are not familiar with adaptogens, these are roots and plants that have been made into a powder that help our body to get back to a place of a regulated nervous system. Because this week, lefatshe le bophelo ne ntshwere ka di-washing. Okay, it was a washing. I was here with life. So ke bone gore o itse ke eng. We can't be, too dysregulated. Let's get ourselves together. So I've put some ashwagandha, I've put some tulsi, I put some camu camu in there, and then just lion's mane for our memory, and just to make sure everything is firing the way it's supposed to be in the brain. So this is just a post of, guys, don't forget to take care of yourself. Hoo be okay. August 2025, itlile ka di-fly kick for some of us, okay? If wena o sale right, my dear, ke go shapela matsogo, I'm happy for you. Continue to cruise. But like, there's a lot of other people, like in my circle, where it's just, ke film, ke movie is a Popeye, okay, of August 2025. So take care of yourself. Rest where you can. I can even tell you right now with no discrimination, because we can't be asking for truth and transparency from other people on the internet and also not giving it. I've literally been on my bed for the last 2 hours because I was just like, and you can see the sun is still out. I was working from home. Okay, trying to rest because my body is like, sister girl, what are you trying to do? We are tired. And I am very much of the belief that if that is what you are going through, and that is the case, if you have the privilege, because it is a privilege to rest, it is a privilege to have space, it is a privilege to have time to rest. And a lot of us don't know that we are privileged because we think we're doing so many things in one day. So if you are privileged to have the space, even if it's a 15 minutes and 20 minutes, to just be quiet somewhere and just reflect or pray or, Father God, what is happening in my life? Take that time for yourself. Okay, let's get into it. If you have not subscribed as yet, please subscribe, guys, okay, so that I can also be monetized and start making that 1 rand 37 cents, okay, like with all the other South African YouTube creators, okay. Lena, I can now have to add another line item, okay, to my income statement for SARS and file in that 1 rand 37 cents, yeah, income, okay, yeah, go YouTube. So can we do the things? If not subscribed, do that. But for sure, definitely also click the notification bell button so that you do know when I've uploaded a video. I'm trying to do it weekly. I think I've been good so far. The goal is by Thursday, the very latest. That's when I should have the video up, which I think we slightly-ish consistent on like a Wednesday, Thursday upload. But that's where we at. Get strapped in. I'm not aiming for a long one, even though, but who never married at first sight. Everybody. Okay, so I'm coming at you with notes, okay? Notebook and paper. We're taking it old school. Old school is the best school. Let's see if I can even still read my handwriting. Jehovah, episode 7, season 2. So, we start off with Palisa and Tepo. They are having an intervention, Le Pastor X, because we left them in the last episode where Palisa had stormed off and she was like, I'm done with you, Tepo. He'd thrown her under the bus. exposing text messages to producers, telling Palisa now all of a sudden when cameras are there that he never said he wanted a child and she's putting words into his mouth. He just said she was right. Let's explosion. Yeah. So Palisa and Tepo are there with Pastor X. Tepo walks in already at Bev, which I was waiting for Pastor X to slightly call out, but he did not. They proceeded as scheduled, maybe on the call sheet, because this is a production. However, that left a big question mark for me, because from an intervention perspective, carrying on with any type of intervention, whether it's counseling, therapy, coaching, when somebody is under the influence of alcohol and drugs, is not advisable, and it's not something that I would even do, because you're just like, we're not really going to get much out of this person. And Tepo had even admitted himself that the drink for him was an avoidance tool. It helps him to calm down, i.e., it helps you to numb. And when we are in intervention, being numbed out is not helpful for you or for anybody else or for the process. So I was very surprised that Pastor X just let that slide, and then they carried on with their session. Okay. So Pastor X ubitsapalesa gore where she slept. Why are we starting here? What I didn't understand about this segment was where the innuendos and the subtext that Palisa, because she did not sleep in the marital apartment that night, there's now this narrative that Pastor X and Tepo seem to be feeding into together. Palisa natswile alojola. Where does that come from, and why is that where we're starting? Pastor X, why? I was very confused about where this is coming from. Why are we not talking about the events that precipitated this blow up, right? So let's understand each party's perspective of the blow up, and then let's understand what is the root cause of this blow up, and then deal with some real issues. But as to starting off with Palesa Orobetseko guy, i.e. Lemang, I was very confused by that. I really don't want to lie. Because there was Palesa also justifying her, no, she went home, got Uber, and she made sure to use Tepo's credit card on the Uber, so Tepo could also see where she had gone when she left the apartment, that she left the apartment and she went back to her place. That's why it was there, and she wanted to make sure that evidence was there. Now I'm confused. Maybe other people are having different relationships. Rakadi, as for me, I don't understand. After one fight, they just assume gore olojewa ke monna o mongwe around the corner. I don't know. I was very confused. And she was even very particular about telling us that I called my pastor when I went home. I wanted to what? To show us that it was pure. You know, I think this is, I'm not going to get into it, because I think getting into what it's making me think of is going to make this go longer. But the aftertaste of the purity culture that still persists in our society when it comes to women and being a good girl, and therefore growing up to be a good wife, and what all of that means, I think is still very problematic for me. It's Rakadi's perspective that I think we should all pursue being a human being of good character, regardless of your gender or your sexual orientation. But there is such an overemphasis on women not allowing themselves to be soiled by other men when the man you are with is still mistreating you to the nth degree. You cannot even say that you went to go and talk to a male family member, distant cousin, spouse, alleged malome. It has to be, I went home, le pastor, and here's the receipt, so that you can know that I'm still pure in your eyes, and I am still untouched and undefiled by the hands of another man and the divorce of another man. I think a lot of us are still living under that, and it's like a subconscious program that lives and walks with us. And it was here, Lepalesa, in her justifications and showing us the receipt. Call the pastor, call my pastor, he will tell you what I did, even though the pastor, yay, guys, basadi ba jewa ko dikerekeng. Strong. I mean, some of these things you're reading, these headlines, a lot of these pastors have more active sex lives than like normal people walking around. Definitely, their sex lives are more active than Rakgadi mo alente. Yay! Ke buffet. What again? But guys. Anyway, so Tepo is then talking in that session about, how for him, he stayed in the marital home. And, he even told Alisa that when she left, he told her that if she leaves, she's leaving him. And basically, is she sure about what she's doing? And Rakgadi feels that he's overemphasizing on the fact that he stayed in the marital home. It's clear that, number one, it is important for him. So yes, he's aware that he's got this abandonment wound. However, the ways in which he chooses to wield that awareness sometimes as a weapon is where I have a problem. Because, he's going around giving himself a gold star. Nah, I stayed in the home, she didn't. So she's the bad person because I stayed. Are you going to address Tebo, what made this person leave? What precipitated her walking out? We're not going to do that. And so this reminds me of, the conversations and the realities that a lot of people are living with, where, we know that fatherlessness in many homes across the world, pandemic. And there was this belief that if your father was present and stayed in the home, then that was a good thing, then fathers deserved gold stars for that. Or whether he was actually present, whether he was emotionally available, whether he was actually even engaging in conversation, never mind playing with and connecting with the children, that was put to the side. All that was important was that he was there. And I think that there are a lot of men walking around thinking that they're doing something because I came home every night and I never left the marital home. It's giving that exact same thing. If your presence is going to be more destructive than your absence, doesn't count. Don't give yourself a gold star. I stayed home while I was causing distraction. Kill a hurricane. While I was not covering and protecting my wife, I was gaslighting her in front of cameras and in front of the nation. That's what I was doing. I was telling her that the things that I told her off camera didn't happen. I was telling her that she was putting words in my mouth. That's the environment that you create. But when you stayed, so you're the good guy and she's the bad guy in this situation. Karia, no. Wabonamu. This manipulation and deception, I'm not here for it. And that doesn't mean that I am condoning Balisa leaving the home. But I think Tepo is very easy to neglect his role in what's happening and to take accountability and responsibility for that. And then you're going to disrespect everybody in this intervention by walking in with an alcoholic beverage. When we are here to do work, we are here khulukisa. And then you're going to sit in the corner and tell us, well, I'm a better person because I stayed. I slept in the home. Karoke, then he even tells us he doesn't know why she's back. He says, even to this day, now that she's here, I don't know why she's back. And you say that, Tebo, knowing that you're going to continue to withhold the reassurance. You're going to continue to not make her feel secure and stable in this relationship. For me. And you're still not going to take accountability for your contribution. You're going to tell South Africa that you don't know why she's back. So do you want her back or not? Because his whole demeanor, His body language, guys, body language, ew. Don't forget, it speaks more than the words that are coming out of our mouths. His whole body language is, I don't need you. I don't need to be here. Even the disrespect of walking in with the drink was like, you as an expert. I don't even, it's just another weekday can stress. I could be sitting in front of the TV and not engaging with what I'm watching. So if that's your whole demeanor, but you're going to sit there and say, well, Balisa needs to sit down and tell me to my face whether she wants to be here. What are you telling us and her with your body language? Telling her you don't need her. Even Pastor X was like, when are you very cold? Very cold. Disconnected. Neck down dead. Because last week they get in a little palace about how she's also neck down dead. Together. Bears over Fera. I don't know if production did that on purpose, but here we are. I'm seeing it from my perspective, and it's looking like both of them are neck down dead. And I am happy that we get to see that, because that is what I think a lot of us need reflected back to us. We live in a world that makes it a lot harder to lead with your heart, to be sensitive, whether it's even as a woman or a man. And not sensitive because sometimes I think we misunderstand that type of word. You know, for me, sensitive is that I'm open in my heart to my surroundings. I'm listening and interpreting the world outside of me with more than just my head. I'm using my body. I'm using my heart. There's an integration of mind, body, and spirit that allows me to have this perception, the sensitivity to my environment. And a lot of that is knocked out of us and beat out of us as we grow up in this world, in the system. It's very difficult to hold on to that as women and particularly as men. And so I think it's a good demonstration for us to see in both Tshepo and Palesa what that then looks like when we've locked down our hearts, Mjolo, Irinyisite, and we are now using our head to make all of the decisions about how we behave and what our beliefs are. And we show up as neck down dead because your head, your ego will always be in a defensive, protective position. Always. It's about survival and self-preservation. And so if this is the only thing that you're bringing to the table when we are trying to connect in a relationship, when we're trying to repair after a rupture, this is what you're going to see. A cold ass Tshepo chilling in the cut, pretending he doesn't care, but you know on the inside is longing very deeply for connection. He even tells Balisa when they go and have a one-on-one together that for him, his biggest fear is the threat of being left by somebody and actually ending up alone, which Rakadi will go out on a limb here and say, I think that is the biggest fear for most men, is that they will end up alone. And we're seeing more and more of them are ending up alone the older that they become. So where is your ego getting you when you are prioritizing your head and your intellect over the other centers of intelligence that we have been blessed with as human beings? Just tonight. So Palesa then gives us her perspective, and as she's saying she's worried, you know, she's just going to be an incubator here, because in that conversation with Tshepo before she left, you know, she was even asking him, like, do you want to just have a baby, or do you actually want to have a baby with me? And she says in that conversation, she still got no reassurance from Tshepo. Tshepo couldn't even answer her. And she was like, if you can't answer that question, then like, what am I doing here? Ooh, monate. Guys, loose leaf tea is where it's at. Hey, get rid of those the tea bags, those microplastics, and even the power of the tea. I try. Go get your own hibiscus petals, lay all of the leaves yourself, and then just brew them. So good. So you know, and now Balis is also telling us, you know, right now as we speak, I could be pregnant. Question mark. Once again, where is the sex education? when were STI screenings done? I think at this point, we sort of find out people are 3 to 4 weeks into this experiment. When did we go and do testing? And like for real and for serious, you have known this person for 3 to 4 weeks and you are already off birth control and willing, if you were on it, I don't know, but you are willing to have and procreate with this person or someone saving, because 4 weeks in, you are still strangers, even if it's a month. Literally strangers. But just because Renalidi ring, Zadi lucky packet, and we are calling each other my husband and my wife, but nary a marriage certificate that is signed by both parties has been produced. But we are ready for procreation, my sister. Awa. What are we watching? I ask you, what are we watching? What are we doing? What are we doing? You haven't even, you guys are having fights on fights, which is fine. We've got to be storming before we are numbing. It's gonna happen in any relation. You haven't even had those types of fights. You don't even know what you guys will live like and look like outside of this highly pressurized experiment. Living in like a pseudo hotel accommodation where all of your needs are taken care of, and you want to have a baby. Loana Balesa, I'm looking at you as a walking question mark, because my sister, how, take me through this thought process. 4 weeks? Okay. Pastor X then gives them feedback. Valid points, questionable approach when it comes to Pastor X for me. I'm sorry. I don't like to come so much for the experts because we are professional colleagues in that way, I would say, in the real world, even though it's different streams of intervention. But I am starting to question as Rakgadi, what is the reason that the experts last season did not come back this season? I hear it. Let's give everybody a chance in South Africa. There are many psychologists, there are many counselors, there are many pastors. But y'all, they had the chops. Anele and Bake and his wife, I forget their wife, those three, they had the chops. Why are they now gone? Because some of these approaches are very questionable. Yeah, Pastor Eggs, where his first response is to tell them both that they're very arrogant and they're full of themselves. I can hear the need for truth-telling. It's the approach for me that I'm not sure about. Pastor X says from his side, he would have preferred to hear them both apologizing to each other. And then Pastor X tells Tsepo, that he's cold, he's emotionally unavailable. And then he tells Balesa that, it's her duty to give her man and her husband loyalty and unconditional respect, which is something that men want. Stop the lure. Whoa. For me, this is it's not sensitive, but for me, I think it's still a moving target, I think, as a topic, because there isn't a man that I've had a conversation with who has not expressed that the desire for all men in heterosexual relationships, those are the ones that I've been around and heard these conversations about, is respect, right? And that for them, the biggest thing is respect. They'll even take respect over love. So I sit there and I say, okay, as Rakgadi, it is important to hear what the other side is saying and to receive it as it is, right? Because if women are also going to be there on the other side in a heterosexual dynamic, expressing that what is important to them is respect also. I'm going to put that there because for some reason, there's a narrative going around that women also don't want to be respected. They just want love. I don't know where that comes from. I really don't. But, for women, because they do so much and take on a lot more of the load in a relationship and in a family dynamic, that appreciation becomes a big thing. Now, what that appreciation looks like is different for people. And I know I'm generalizing, but if women are on the other side, right, telling men that this is what we want, we also want the men to just accept that, to understand that, and to try and shift and then act accordingly. So I also want to give men the benefit of that same reciprocity, right? If you guys are standing here and saying that what is important to you is respect, I can take that in, I can hold it. Where I choose to differ with a Pastor X, and maybe that's why Rachadi Adamo Khalabe at this point in time, Kisamo Emense, is because you don't get unconditional respect simply because of the appendage that hangs in between your legs. That's not how it works. In any dynamic and relationship, respect is earned over time through your actions, through your behavior that shows me what character that you are. Because that respect can be seasonal based on what I'm seeing here. I cannot simply come and have unconditional respect for you because you are a man on a divorce when you self don't even respect yourself. Your actions are showing me that you are not respectable. But somebody's going to sit here and tell me that I need to give you unconditional respect. I'm not on board with that. Sorry, Pastor X. And as I said, baby, there's other people. Yeah, that's why you women will always be alone. It's fine. We've got friends and pets. If that's what it is, even though you are just a person, at the end of the day. Okay. But that's just where I'm coming from. Other people, you might have some different perspectives, but for me, unconditional respect is not a given. Unconditional anything. I can give you unconditional positive regard as another human who's in front of me who might be trying to be better, who might be trying to improve. But an appendage does not give you, a divorce does not give you unconditional and unequivocal respect. Not in my books. And I think when it comes to Tebo, I don't think he's earned the level of respect that he seems to demand. And I think he's a good example of what we are seeing in some parts of our society. Because there are a lot of women, basadi, babulukilweng, buried in the ground because of illness, because of abuse and neglect. But they were sitting there respecting their partners and their husbands because that is what their families told them to do. Whether this person was respectable, whether that person was even safe, where is the safety? Because nobody is talking about that. Times have progressed and changed. How is there an interventionist who is sitting in front of a couple, not concerned or even asking questions about safety, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual safety? You're not even touching on all of that. And that sometimes is my problem with sitting down with male interventionists, because I think it is very difficult for them to really step inside unless you have, there are some male interventionists now who are doing the work in their personal lives. That's why I also loved Anele so much from last year, because there are certain people who you see have embraced the polarity of the feminine energy that lives with them as a human being. So what I loved so much about Anil is that you can see that he's taken the time to embrace that femininity that lives within him, to be able to embody that in himself, and then can come out here and hold both perspectives, both polarities. So sometimes when we're just sitting here with a male interventionist who's just going to be telling you and don't leave your marital home, without asking about safety, when for every single woman living and walking on this earth, I don't care what race, what color, what creed, the number one concern of every woman who lives in this world is safety. And yet you don't discuss it. You're going to give her a begazelle and a nyamazelle, and that a married woman doesn't do this. Okay. All right. Palisa is crying, and then I think Palisa was more receptive of the feedback. Tepo, we don't know because he was super neck down dead. He was giving us icebox where my heart used to be. So I don't know what was getting into his system. Okay, so then we have the boys going out for a boys' night. They're going for whiskey tasting somewhere or other. Tepo, hey, he's going in hard on that whiskey. Even Nkululeko commented as like, yeah, Tepo's going true. Oh yeah, Goisha, true. Nkululeko could even see it's true for Utepo going true, because it was like he even took my tasters and was drinking my drinks. So who be on Tepo's behalf. So they do the whiskey tasting or whatever, and now it's sharing, bonding as the boys. Bongani tells everybody that no, it's his intention to go ahead and lobola. They share stories about the kotizing. Bongani is like, no, Portia met my sisters. You know, my sisters came for me, Van Champela, you know, and there I was. I finally surrendered the bank card and the pin. Has he, Portia, Kopor confirmel? Because that person, as soon as his sisters talked about, and those sisters, I'm going to give them another shout out. They were the MVPs of this season, not even this episode. Yo, guys, I need to spend some time around other Xhosa women. We're thinking, gore ba nkenye ka energy yona eo, gore we thinking monna tshwantse a o fe tšhelete, o je tšhelete ya hae as mosadi. Because, hey, guys, ke gale ba bang ba rona re jewa mahala ka montle is a problem, because we don't have that Xhosa spirit, that Xhosa energy. I need it galoku sana. If there are any of you out there who are watchers, guys, woo, please leave us just some recommendations. I want to in the comment section. Some motivation for the rest of us in the comment section, because I was like, yeah, whether you're the sister-in-law that we all need. So when the sisters started speaking, Bongani's sisters started speaking about the pin card, the pin lady card, Bongani at a short left, but now he says he's taking out this money. I hope he is. I'd like Portia go spend some of that money. Okay. Bongani, because then the conversation starts about, I think Temba was asking Gulego, you know, how are things going in the bedroom? And then Bongani was like, why is everything coming down to sex? Like, why are all these conversations about sex? Like, what's going on? And personally, I'm with Bongani on that, but I suppose, I don't know, maybe these are the things that men talk about. I know these are the things that boys talk about, but like, even like men, still at your big age, it's about like, did you bang, brah? Did you bang? Did you hit it? I don't know. I'm also confused by that, because Bongani is like, why are you guys not asking me like, am I happy? You know, am I intimately fulfilled by my partner? You're gonna be asking me questions about penetration. I don't know. Bongani. I don't want to lie. I enjoy Bongani a lot. I really do. Just because, normal, guys. Like, he's just giving me like normal, in my 40s, little Bali. Like, let's just be serious, grounded. Real things are happening in life. Let's talk about those real things. So, then Tepo. Hi guys, Tepo is a messy madam. There's no other, I even put it here, when I started hearing a messy madam. Because in that whole conversation, you know, Bongani's like, where's your wedding ring? What's going on in your marriage? Tell us what's happening. I'm calling Tepo a messy madam because number one, Tepo orata hoseba ditaba tabacho. And even when it's what's happening in his own life, in that conversation, he was very selective to say enough but he never actually said what was going on. He was just telling them, "Huhubi, it's rough, it's earthquakes." Didn't tell them anything else other than Palisa left. Obviously, he's not going to talk about what his role and his part was in any of that and her leaving. Then at the end of this dinner, is going to stand in front of a camera for his diary session and say, "I gave them, just enough information. Give a feel spicy enough for some pillow talk. I gave them enough talk with a smile on his face, glee, as the self-appointed executive producer, ghost executive producer of this television show, where you could see that, like, you did this strategically to be messy. You want to be talked about. But more than that, you want Palesa to be talked about. Because all you mentioned was that she left. And she's such a bad, bad wife for leaving her marital home. Didn't tell them about any of your gaslighting and your manipulation. Didn't tell them about any of your abandonment. For somebody else having abandonment, you seem to do a lot of emotional abandoning. But no, none of that. We're not going to talk about that. No. But you're delighted with glee that you've given the guys some good gossip for them to go back to their spouses and talk about, what I don't know. It's really problematic for me. It's really problematic. Listen, and spouses gossip. Okay, you go gossip with your partner. Let's not even lie. Okay, everyone's gonna sit here and say they don't sit and talk about other people with their person. Maka. And to a certain degree, I think as a heterosexual woman, you want a man who's going to not get involved in people's businesses and not go out looking wherever he is. But also, you don't want somebody who's going to come back and be like, "Well, I heard this. And then when you ask, "Well, what happened?" "Oh, I didn't ask any questions." You also don't want that. Like, it's a very fine balance of like, okay, you come back with some news that you heard from the guys, because guys, Banna barata ditaba. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. What they do with that information might be different to women. But gossiping, pagati inside, mona. Don't let them lie to you. So anyway, I'm getting off track about this person that we, this ideal partner with desire who will have just enough information but is not messy, and then we'll move on from it. Either way, I think this is a lesson for all of us from what Tsepo is demonstrating. Guys, be very careful of the people in your life who like to come to you and pump you for information about how are you doing, what are your problems, Tsepo Witsengi, David Oring. All of those people who want to come and ask you questions about your life, and you'll tell them about all your dysfunction, all the problems, who did what. And when you ask them about what's happening in their lives, it's crickets. Where's the reciprocity? Where's the transparency? And then you've got to ask yourself, what is this person getting out of me always giving them all of this information, and what are they doing with it? Are they truly showing up in a supportive role where we hold each other up during difficult times? Or is this person just here to get their fix, to see some trauma porn, and then go and blab it up after the fact with other people? That's the equation. Okay, I spoke about the next scene was like Tsepo and Palesa doing that one-on-one together after the session. Palesa says she's just going through the emotions and the humiliation. It's unfortunate that humiliation is what you leave a counseling session with. That's the emotion, is humiliation, which was very sad for me, actually. As a container for awareness and healing, humiliation, which I think is quite a negative emotion, is not what you want someone leaving with. So yeah, I was quite sad for her for that. Then Tepo talks about, this whole thing is taking a toll on his mental health. I'm empathetic. I'm trying to be objective. The whole way through. Tepo. I'm empathetic to the fact that like this pressure cooker environment can feel very highly pressurizing. And it's not an easy thing to go through with cameras in your face all the time. The whole country's talking about you. You relive it after you filmed it. Go to social media. Borakgadi ba bua ko internet. Ba bangwe are coming for you at the throat. Go to Twitter. What. So I can be empathetic in that sense that it's not an easy experience to go through. Yes, even if you're going to say they decided to go through, they did have a choice to go through it. They did. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its challenges. So I'm empathetic to Tepo because of that. I'm not sure that I'm believing the performance, though. Not sure. Because I think he has a very high proclivity for manipulation. We have seen it demonstrated time and time again. And I think that just makes me wary when I do hear him talking about triggers, using the psychological terms that he's familiar with. Not because he's not feeling those things, but because you have a demonstrated proclivity for manipulating people. And there are a lot of people who walk amongst us, Molifating, who, by way of the internet, right, and a lot of information that's there, all of the therapists, all of the coaches, everybody's out here giving free advice. So the terminology is now very commonplace. But you have a lot of people who, some consciously, but a lot subconsciously, use that information as weapons to further control and manipulate people to get the outcomes that they want. And so with Tepo, I always have a question mark, particularly because in this one-on-one conversation, the terms he's using, I'm being put into a situation of ... quote unquote, the environment is turning me into ... you are pushing me to be cold and ... Those are not phrases, words, statements that are made by somebody who is taking responsibility for their behavior and for their reactions. That is somebody who is telling you that I am a victim of my environment, I'm a victim of circumstance, and therefore I abdicate any responsibility for how I am acting. Because to date, we are on episode 7. I suppose things all blew up in the last episode and like a little bit the episode before. I still haven't heard Tepo apologize for anything and actually take accountability for his role. He's still sitting here telling Palisa Asif, do you still want this? He's like, yes, I still want this. I'm in here. But I'm not seeing the responsibility and the accountability taken. Guys, is it getting through to you? There's a difference between, Tepo hasn't even said sorry, but there's a difference between I'm sorry. Sorry, baby. There's a difference between that and my role in this was 1, 2, 3. I can see now, after the heated moment, that I didn't approach this properly. I came in hot. I misunderstood. My contribution to this breakdown was 1, 2, 3. Not I was put into a situation. If you push me hard enough, I become cold. And because you are pushing, it's actually your fault that I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting. You are pushing the buttons. You are triggering me. La Hopola. Let's not forget, We need to be taking responsibility for ourselves and our actions. So, Palesa then talks about how she's suffering for the consequences of Tepo's previous relationship, because he talks about how the situation, the Jolo, the almost marriage situation that he had before didn't work out. And so essentially Palesa's like, you're bleeding all over me and I'm not the one who cut you. It was the person before. And Palesa's very clear that that's not fair. Unfortunately, it's very commonplace in all of our relationships. We said you get into a relationship, you get out, you'll try and heal and you'll do the work if that's what you're focused to do. But I don't think it's realistic, as Palesa was also saying, because she said she came in a clean slate. I'm not going to say I deny her reality. I just don't believe that that is true for most people. I would even say for anyone, really. Because I think, yes, we can learn, we can grow, we can integrate the lessons, but to say that we are completely free of the trauma or the default reactions that we have in certain situations, I don't know if we can ever be a clean slate, And why would you want to be a clean slate? Because a clean slate means I wipe out or I wipe off all of those experiences that happened, which means like, I've got to have something to work off of and a foundation to grow from. So I don't know about that. Then Palesa says, even though you don't take me to work, I still respect you and I'm still here. Got a question mark. Why is Tepo not driving Palesa to work? Why not? What had happened? So I think it's clear Palesa doesn't have a car. Why is Tepo not driving her to work? Can he explain? Reunion host, it's a circle back here. Why is Tepo not driving Palesa to work? Is it just because he was traumatized from that other drive? But he's very happy to see her from that complex. Alo emela taxi or alo emela bus stop. Ole monna wa hae o na le nkoloi. Ay guys. Ay. Anyway, Palesa says she's tired of the words and she wants to see action. She wants to see something out of Tepo, because if things keep continuing to get bad, she is going to exit stage left and Tepo is going to regret, because she's a good woman. Then we move on to ladies' night, where things got very interesting. And you know what? I think this was also, I enjoyed the ladies' night segment because this was the first time I think we also got to see, I got to see a glimpse of Palesa being a real person, being the real her, and not the put together, curated performance that she likes to give us in front of a camera. And I was just like, bad girl, you're such a nice girl. Down to earth. Just be you, girl. For all of us, let's just be ourselves. So there's Makoto. She's got Nkululego's name on her nails. Posha Odi Patets. Makoto was like, I had to beg for him to pay for these nails. Garrett babes, don't you know this man's an online entrepreneur? I don't want to come for anybody's pockets because I don't know anything about anybody, but I don't know. Nkululeko, what does he actually do, guys? I would say, I'm not sure. And Makoto puts Nkululeko on Front Street at the end of the season, of the episode, where she basically says, I'm glad Nkuleko's finally telling excuse me. I'm glad Nkuleko's finally telling the truth. And the truth is, Nkululeko doesn't have any money. This is quote unquote Makoto. Not a quote, okay? It's not a fact from, that's what she said. Then they share their stories. Nelisa is telling all the stories about her shipelane, giggling, laughing, happy, homonati, Makoto is there, sabawelling, Nelisa's experience. Portia then tells us that, no, Bongani's sisters, they were bragging to her about Bongani, and she's like, she didn't really feel comfortable with that. She's also a cheese girl, because she's a flight attendant. She also flies around the world, and so she didn't see the need for them to brag to her. And I still have a question with question mark or Portia personally, because I know a lot of people still stay, lambasting her and coming for her neck, go internet after every episode, and especially after this one. But we get a bit there. Now, I personally wasn't getting that vibe, but I do suspect that there might be an insecurity there from Portia's perspective. And I don't think this insecurity came with Ubongani. What I think is throwing up a filter and confusing a lot of us is that Portia is very guarded and she's very standoffish. She keeps people at a distance. And then her demeanor is very much like, I'm a calm lake on the top. Underneath, things are happening, but I'm never going to show you on the surface what's going on beneath me. And so I think it makes it very difficult for people to reach her and to connect to her. And I think that's a lot of maybe what people are perceiving. That's how I perceive her as well. So I don't think she thinks she's better. I think, yes, there's a wound maybe of not being enough. But she's very guarded. And I don't know how that's going to work for her. But once again, a good example for all of us, because there are a lot of women like that out here in the world, okay? Rakgadi is also one who's trying to reform herself because we've had to put up armor to work in this patriotic capitalistic society. There are certain things that you can't be showing the world in certain environments, if it's in corporate or whatever. But to see it reflected back in the mirror of Portia is very interesting for all of us. So let's reflect wherever we are. Then Palesa asked Nelisa, does she know that like Themba went on holiday with the baby mama and the kids? And Nelisa's like, no, I don't know anything about that. I didn't know this. Then Makota asks, like, is that why the baby mama has a bank card, Lipin, that Themba has given her? And is that why the baby mama also has a key to Themba's place? Waiting, guys. That woman we like to call baby mama, because even Portia was like, Nelisa, you need to really like make sure you get that under control properly, because these women don't have boundaries. Neither does Nelisa, guys. That's why that woman has a key and a bank card. Hey, Themba told us he paid lobola. Baby mama for who? Where? Question mark. Nelisa carries on to giggle, and Palisa's like, wait again. If Nelisa is delusional, let her continue to be Dululu, guys. Don't interrupt her. Don't do it. Let her live in her own world. She's busy telling everybody, oh, no, guys, Themba is a good, she says she's got a good man, Savannah. Themba's a good man. Lona le woman. Whomst are we all? And that's a good, who are you? She's got a good man at home. And maybe, you know what, guys, to be honest, maybe we all do need, like, that Tululu, Yanelisa, of like, you'll see some things. Just keep it pushing. Just believe the things that your man is telling you, guys. Don't ask very, like, minimal questions that are not invasive. And then the rest of it, go with the flow. Udule ole, go marathon. Maybe that's what we all need, hey? That naivety of Yazin, I'm not gonna fight all the fights. If this person is loving on me in the way that I want to be loved on and is telling me the things that I think are true, keep it pushing. Gotta keep it pushing, Nelisa. Hi, girl. Carry on. We all maybe need to have that look the other way spirit as women. I get it, because when we are looking and asking questions, yeah, Pandora's box. So, who's this? You. Then Palisa tells her side of the story. Our Tepo is not doing married at first sight. Tepo is doing bofebe. Hey! Ha tlhalosa her story. This guy wanted me to get pregnant. We are working on it. I could be pregnant right now. Then all of a sudden he tells me he doesn't know if he's into this. Hey! Then Makoto opens her mouth. Hey, Artepo busy. He's busy calling me a hoe out here on the streets. And I want to know, where is this coming from? And why is this man coming for my throat? Makoto, we all want to know. Why Tepo out so? Why? Why? Reunion host, please ask this question because we still don't have a reason that is making sense to me. I don't even want to speculate. I don't want to even go down the path of the speculation. Those of you who want to speculate, go ahead in the comments. But I am not understanding why Tebo doesn't want Makoto in his apartment, doesn't want her in the car, and is out here calling her a hoe all over. Everybody else seems to know about the fact that Tebo's calling Makoto a hoe. We don't know what's going on. So Makoto's like, no, I'm going to confront him. I want to see if he's got the cojones to say it to my face because he's busy telling everybody about it. Then, Palisa's also saying in this commentary, she's like, okay, it's clear that like Nkululeko is not protecting Makoto because Nkululeko was there when this was being said, and so Palisa's seeing the way like Makoto's like fighting about this and then she wants to come out and clear her name. And Palisa was like, Nkululeko uko kae in all of this. Where are you? We don't know. So she's like, it's a sad situation when a woman has to be standing up here and fighting for herself when she has allegedly a man next to her who's supposed to be doing that. Then Makoto says, Makoto is telling everyone that Palisa's trying to change him because, she's trying to get him to eat better and start exercising, which, I mean, the guys, we've got to tell the truth. Like, Tepo is morbidly obese. If we're using the BMI, from what we can see, he's obese. So, on top of that, if you want to be having children, the way him and Palisa seem to be, committed to doing, she's also worried that, like, at the end of the day, you've got to still be alive and be healthy and in shape to take care of this family that we say that we're growing and we're building. So I can understand where Palisa's coming from. Maybe it might all be a bit too soon in this 4-week relationship of strangers. And then Makoto says, Tepo was also saying to everybody else that they don't know what he's putting up with because they don't see Palisa in the morning without her makeup on. Karun knives are drawn. A messy madam. A messy. People can come for me for calling him that, but his actions continue to demonstrate we're dealing with a messy character here, or ratang mez in a way that like we're here and we're entertained, but like it's rough if you're his spouse. Okay. So Palisa this man is out just saying these things about me. We can all be mean. Palisa's like, yes, everybody else also doesn't know what I have to deal with when I see him naked. When I see him, alilipona in the morning. You don't know. Died. Okay. Alimuoni alilipona in the morning. Illy stretch marks. Illy curves. Hey, I don't think they know the truth. See it so. Don't think they know. How could they know? Portia are petrol on top of the fire. Does he even see himself? Why pona ko fats mole? Hey, Palisa are no, my love. No, Kartepo. They are demolishing you here. Go ladies' night. We are perishing. And I'm not gonna lie. Because this is always my question that I have secretly in my heart, but I don't ask because we want to body shame people. But really, like when you see people who are a lot bigger, like Botshepo, and then it's like when Palisa wants to like gibel wabana for divorce, Tetris like how does this work? And I'm asking from curiosity, not from judgment. I really do want to know how this works. Because as I said, we all have a good teddy. I'm a fatty. But like for me, it's also like as a fatty with another fatty, like, yo, guys, the gymnastic. Just to try and get there and get a nut. Like, we have to be working hard. Yeah. And it's not like what stage of Tetris do we have to be at to access? But what would you like Tetris? You know Tetris where it's like at the end and it's like this much space and it's just like blocks here that are not going down. You have to be like at that level of Tetris and you're still trying to like put it together. Guys. No, it's Heposhem. No, I don't want to like my brother. Basadi. Woo! That was an interesting ladies' night. Makoto reminds us that it's not body shaming if you're talking about your man because I get rabontana. You know, rashibisana, guys. Okay? Even though I was like, that's a good cover. That's what I'm also going to say. I'm just reporting on what I saw, okay? On the screens. But woo! Can we get another ladies' night? It was fabulous. So then Portia says she's leaving Arena because she hasn't been at the shared apartment. She's actually been at her place for the last 2 nights. She says she'd had enough of Tsepo's moodiness. Armona. She's not here for it, you know. Monna otongalang, wala pisa. She's not about that life. Then she also says, you know, we also don't know the real tempo of camera because the real tempo of camera is very harsh in the way that he speaks to her. And she's told him about it before. And clearly, I don't know if he was pivoting or listening because she was at her apartment for the last 2 days. So Nelisa advises Portia that, like, you know, as a married woman, you don't really have the option to be leaving your marital home. If you've got issues, you stay there and you sleep there and you'll work it out and you'll sort it through. Portia in her diary entry is like, bitch, please. If I want to leave, I'm going to leave. Okay, that independent lifestyle, that single woman, I'm going to do it. But on the other hand, Portia was also like, you know what, Nelisa might have a point if I have to be honest. Yeah, maybe I should not have done that. But Portia is very clear. Okay, that if you're looking for the cookies, keep on looking because they stay in the jar. Cookies are staying in the jar. Okay. She's clear. No man is going to be putting his hand. Our next is closed. It's closed. Needs together. That's the life she's living. Then Palisa and Makoto have a one-on-one where Palisa's like, you know what? The stuff with Tsepo calling you a hoe in the streets has been bothering me for a long time. And let me organize a double date for us to get together. This thing, because at the end of the day, Tsepo's also looking worse. Like he thinks he's looking good, but like it's actually making him look worse and not Makoto in the way that he thinks. So I really liked that Makoto and Palisa seem to have like a really good sisterhood. Like even the way that they were sitting, you know, banana, baba soto, just having some drinks and chilling out. I really enjoyed that. So the guys get notices that they are also going to do, I don't know, what's the kotizing for the men, which I'm happy to see. Thank you, okay, for some democracy. But basically the men are going to the women's families' homes. And we open up with Nkululeko, who is now throwing up a lot of resistance and barriers when he finds out about this. And he's saying, well, you know, he doesn't really speak Sotho. Is he going to be forced to slaughter an animal? Then he talks about the fact that Makoto and her father haven't had a good relationship up until recently. So that's going to be awkward. And then Makoto is sitting and listening with one ear open. And Rakgadi was also like, my one ear is open because why are you throwing so much resistance to this visit? I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to talk about the concerns that he's having out loud, but it was curious. Then we see the double date happening with Tshepo Mphalisa and Makoto Nkululeko. So Makoto asks Tshepo, so where does it come from? This whole language that I've been hearing that you're using, what's going on there? Tshepo's like, no, I was having a conversation with Posha and Mbongani, and I just brought up this statement that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and people heard what they heard, and they can do with that whatever it is that they want to do with that. You see, this man and responsibility are very divorced. Even though he apologized and Makoto said this is what accountability looks like. Okay, if you're happy, Makoto, because you were the injured party, the way that I saw it was that he was not taking accountability. He apologized. Okay, yeah, he apologized. But that statement of I said what I said, and then people took it how they wanted to take it, is not the same as, yes, I actually was during the people calling you a whore. I did that. And I was misinformed. Or I did it out of rage or because I was being petty or whatever. And I should not have said it. That's very different to, well, I was talking to these people and then people heard what they heard and they could take it however they wanted to take it. But Artswane, I'm not the aggrieved party. Okay. Makoto was happy with that. Then Makoto was like, okay, but Nkululeko also says that you had said it to him, the same statement, that Nkululeko won't be able to turn a whore into a housewife. Tshepo then denies it. Then Nkululeko, hey, now we have... It started. The Popeye has started between Makoto and Nkululeko. Nkululeko is denying that Tshepo had said that in front of him. He says he doesn't remember. Makoto's now looking shocked to be like, but how do you think I'd be sitting here making up stories about what you said? And she's like, I find it very interesting that the things that affect me, you don't remember any of them. But when it's things that affect you and you've been, hard done by somebody else, you remember those things. They start fighting, the two of them. In between Tshepo Mphalisa, everybody's feeling uncomfortable. Makoto, as per usual, because she's a blindside queen and she loves it, whips out in the middle of the dinner table. Well, did you guys know that Nkululeko actually had a sexual relationship with my former best friend 10 years ago? And then Tshepo and Mphalisa are like, oh my God. Rakgadi was like, who cares? 10 years. And then give for my best friend. Who cares a damn? Who? I don't care a damn. 10 years. For my best. Come on, guys. Life is long here and it's short. She's not even your friend anymore. Why do you care about this? Then on top of that, why do you care enough to even tell other people about this? What must they do with that information? That he, 10 years ago, when he was a light-skinned, dreaded nigger in the streets, was hooking up with your former best girlfriend. What do you want anybody to do with that particular information? How is it helping us here? Question. Why one of this thing that Makoto likes to do during the people to humiliate Nkululeko specifically is a theme that is persisting, and I don't think she's open to hearing it, unfortunately, because of the character of Nkululeko and his credibility, because he's also, hidden dragon. Hidden tiger. What's that one? Crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Nkululeko's crouching tiger, hidden dragon. She accuses him of being two-faced. He's one person off the camera. He's another person in the cameras. So she's not going to hear any of his feedback. But I hope that maybe when she's watching this back, she can understand that trait, because I don't think Nkululeko is crazy when he stands there and he says that the way that this person talks to me is problematic. Because it is. You are very disrespectful. You use public events as an opportunity to air out your dirty laundry. But it's not your dirty laundry, Makoto. You air out your partner's dirty laundry without their consent in an effort to humiliate him. It's not to fix, it's not even to ask for help. You're doing it to humiliate him, to embarrass him, and to hurt him. And so, unfortunately, then your message becomes diluted because you, as the messenger, don't also have pure intentions with what it is that you're doing. So I continue to maintain as Rakgadi Makoto and Kululeko, Popeye. He's a Popeye. He's a Popeye. Blind leading the blind. I won't be sitting here and condoning it. Nkululeko does definitely have a lot of gaslighting. That's what he wants, Nelisa. Because he even said to her in the final scene where he came to the bed and he tells her that, like, you know what, he's actually done with their relationship. He doesn't want to go do his male kotizing at her family's house because they're not in a good place. And he just wishes that sometimes she would just overlook the negative things. Quote unquote, I'm quoting, guys. She can overlook the negative things and turn them into something positive. So he wants Nelisa, he needs some delulu from his partner because this thing of let's actually discuss issues is not what he's trying to do. I'm not with him there, but I'm with him on the approach in which these issues are being discussed because it does come with a lot of anger from your side, Makoto. It does come with a lot of frustration. And if we're going to take a lesson, guys, as Rakgadi's views, communication, a big part of it is the environment within which we are having a conversation. Is it conducive? The physical environment, but also the emotional environment. There's a tone that you are using to set the environment. And I think, Makoto, your tone is not inviting. It's not. It is aggressive. It is. And I'm sorry to be calling a black woman aggressive because I don't like it when they call us aggressive. But it is. It's like impi. And then you'll tabaka the spears. Kwaza, slice to the white meat. And I think that is because you're hurt. Yes, anger is a secondary emotion. There's always a primary emotion behind that. Most of the time it's pain and it's hurt. And in your case, I think it is also frustration because you do suspect and feel that you're being gaslit by Nkululeko, which is fair. But your approach is it's just making it all look like just like a terrible Love and Hip Hop episode. Not even Love and a Black Ink Crew. Well, when I Love and Hip Hop, I can give it okay, the scripting is scripting. Black Ink Crew is what we're watching. Not even. Who's that? The person with the tattoo on the face. Come on. Blueface, Likrishon. This is what we're getting here. It's too much. Listen, it's keeping us entertained. We're here for it, but like sometimes that entertainment also just goes just above and beyond what any of us is really trying to do when we're watching this TV show. So anyway, in that conversation, Makoto's clear after the double date that this person cannot protect my name because he's out there in conversations where I'm being called a whore. And that's what she says even in that conversation in the final scene in the bed where she's like, Nkululeko, how can you continue to have a relationship and converse with a man who has called me a whore in front of you? Valid, 100%, and not call him to account. And I believe that Nkululeko said, I believe her, that he would have sat there while Tsepo said that and said nothing. Yes, I can believe that. I can. I don't think it was a very productive conversation those two were having because Makoto was on her phone the whole time and Nkululeko was talking about how he feels belittled and how he feels disrespected by her, and she was on the phone. That's one thing for me I hate. Kopobe phone on the side. even if you're angry, I know you rather tell me you don't want to talk right now, but while I'm talking to you, you're on the phone. Even like as friends at a conversation, if we're sitting at lunch or at dinner and you're on your phone while we're talking, please finish what you're doing on your phone and then we can talk. So she was on her phone. She wasn't listening to a goddamn word that Ngululeko. Well, she wasn't interested. That's what her body language was saying. But she was very interested because she even asked him that if you say you don't want to go to my family home because we're not on good terms, were we on good terms when you asked me to go and see your family? Because we were not. Nkululeko says, well, it wasn't as bad as this. After his speech of asking for reciprocity from Makoto, overlook the negative, turn it into positive. Where's the reciprocity he's saying? He's saying that she's always very passionate and talking about all the bad things that he's doing, but she's not passionate in talking about the good things that he does off of camera. Where's the reciprocity? And hey, I'll give that to him because you also don't want to constantly be hearing from the other person everything that you're failing at and everything that you're doing wrong. You've got to balance that out with reinforcing and validating them for the good things that they do. I can hear what he's trying to say. He's not all fully bad and Makoto is not all fully good, which is the takeaway for me as we wrap it up for this review, is that let us remember and understand there is no person living who is one thing or the other. Nobody is just good without the bad, and nobody is bad without the good. That is the lie we like to tell ourselves in our heads. When we are looking and thinking about our actions, we can always bring in context to justify our bad behavior and balance it out with all of the other good things that I am and such a nice person that I am. But when we are looking at other people, then we take off that lens of context and put on a nice lens of judgment that's black and white that says you are good and you are bad. There are no villains and heroes. There's both and in all of us. That's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video and for sticking it through Lerachadi. Guys, I saw that there were so many more comments, which I really enjoyed. And shout out to my girl. I think it's Melanin Bay girl. I hope I said it right, but I'm going to shout you out probably in the next one. I'm going to write your handle down. You are always the first comment, first video, just always so positive. And just, I want to thank you all so much for the views, for the likes. I can see how our channel is growing. And yeah, I hope we're becoming a community that uses the context of other people's lives on the internet and on television to reflect and learn about ourselves and others. So if there's other people in your life, you can just see dysfunctional, I'll more remember this video and continue to spread love and not hate. Cheers, darlings.